All right, let's talk about something that affects millions of people, but, it's usually only discussed in whispers. I'm talking about adult content addiction. Today, we're going to break down the actual science behind it, look at some pretty surprising consequences, and explore how to break free. And this isn't just opinion, it's all based on what the experts are saying. The reason we're even doing this explainer is because of this single powerful statement from a student. It just hits hard, right? This isn't some abstract theoretical problem. It's a real, genuine struggle that people are going through every single day, and they often feel totally trapped and alone. It just shows you how widespread and serious this has become, especially for a generation that's grown up with the internet at their fingertips.
Okay, so why is this stuff so hard to stop? I mean, really. To get it, we've got to look past the screen and go right inside our own heads. What is actually happening in our brains chemically that gets us hooked? Well, it all kicks off with one tiny, powerful molecule.
And here it is, dopamine. Now, you've probably heard it called the pleasure molecule, but that's not quite the whole story. It's really more like the motivation molecule. See, our brains are hardwired to give us a little hit of this stuff when we do something good for us, like eating food or achieving a goal. It's that feeling of satisfaction that makes you go, "Ooh, that was good, I should do that again." It's your brain's internal reward system saying, "Yes, more of that." Okay, but here's where things get really tricky. Natural rewards, like finishing a tough project, give you a nice, healthy dose of dopamine. Adult content? Whoa, that's a completely different ballgame. It's engineered to give you an immediate, massive, totally unnatural flood of it. It's like a fire hose when your brain is only built to handle a drinking fountain. Our brains literally did not evolve to cope with that kind of intensity, and it just throws the whole system completely out of whack.
And once that system is out of whack, well, that's when a really dangerous cycle kicks in. It all starts with that first powerful rush, but our brains are smart. They try to protect themselves from this constant overload. So they adapt. They basically turn down the volume, becoming less sensitive. This is what we call building a tolerance. And then, the same old stuff doesn't give you that same feeling anymore. So what happens? You have to go looking for something more extreme, more intense, just to feel that high again. And just like that, you're caught in a compulsive loop.
And this comparison just illustrates the point perfectly. The way this addiction works is basically identical to drug or alcohol addiction. Seriously, an alcoholic might start with one drink, but over time they need two, then three, then more, just to get the same buzz. It's the exact same thing here. Someone starts with standard content, but soon enough, they need more and more extreme stuff to get that same dopamine hit. It's the same pattern, the same brain chemistry. The only thing that's different is the stimulus.
So we've talked about the brain chemistry, this whole dopamine trap. But so what? What does that actually mean for a person's day-to-day life? Let's get into the real, tangible costs. We're going to see how this chemical process starts to rewire not just your mind, but honestly, your entire life. Okay, get ready for this because this is probably the single most shocking piece of science in this whole thing. That constant unnatural flood of dopamine, it's literally toxic to your brain cells. And the part of the brain that gets hit the hardest is your prefrontal cortex. That's the CEO of your brain. It's the part responsible for rational thought, for self-control, for making smart decisions. And scientists have observed that this area can physically shrink. I mean, just think about that for a second. It actually gets smaller. And what happens when the rational part of your brain starts to shrink? It's pretty terrifying, actually. Experts call it a state of de-evolution. What makes us human is our ability to reason, to think ahead, to make conscious choices, right? But when that part of the brain is damaged, we start to lose that. We revert to more primitive, more impulsive behaviors. We start being driven by compulsion, not by reason. And as you can imagine, this kind of brain damage leads directly to a whole cascade of mental health problems. Neuroscientists have drawn clear lines connecting this addiction cycle to things like ADHD, crippling anxiety, panic attacks, deep depression. I mean, the list goes on. And even beyond a clinical diagnosis, it just completely derails your life. How can you possibly focus on your career or your education or any long-term goal when your brain is being hijacked like this? There's this really wise way of looking at it, and it goes back centuries. Think of your mind as a garden. You've got a choice. You can be the gardener. You can consciously plant good things in there, positive thoughts, focus, healthy habits. And if you do that, you'll get growth and beauty and peace. Or you can just neglect it. You can let the weeds of compulsion, fed by whatever the internet throws at you, just take over. And pretty soon, all you've got is chaos. And here's the key. A beautiful garden never happens by accident. It takes conscious effort.
But here's the thing. This isn't just about one person's internal struggle. What feels like a private habit actually has a huge, massive public cost. So let's zoom out now. Let's look at the incredible ripple effect this creates, how it can harm families, fuel some really dark industries, and, believe it or not, even become a threat to entire nations.
And that first ripple? It always hits closest to home, in your relationships. This kind of content completely warps your idea of what a real relationship is supposed to look like. It can damage the trust and intimacy you have with people you love by setting up totally unrealistic and, frankly, harmful expectations. It just blurs that critical line between a scripted fantasy made for a screen and real, authentic human connection.
So I'm going to ask a really direct question here. That single click, what does it actually fuel? It feels so private, so harmless, doesn't it? But we have to ask, where does this stuff come from? Who's on the other side of that screen? And who's getting rich from your view?
And the answer is incredibly dark. That one click is a drop in the bucket that fuels a multi-billion-dollar global industry. An industry that is designed to get you addicted. It creates this endless demand for new, more extreme content. And where do they get it? Well, that's where it gets horrific. The supply chain often involves human trafficking. We're talking about men, women, and even children being forced against their will to create this content. So that one seemingly harmless click, it can actually be the very last link in a chain of unbelievable human suffering.
And look, don't for a second think this is some far-off problem happening somewhere else. The data is shocking. India consistently ranks number 2 or 3 in the entire world for searches for this stuff. Just let that sink in. That means a huge chunk of the demand that fuels these criminal networks is coming from right here at home. This isn't just a personal issue, it's a massive national problem we have to face.
But wait, it gets even bigger. Foreign governments and hostile groups, they know this is a major weakness. These websites, which have basically zero security, are perfect targets for cyber warfare. They use them to plant viruses, to steal all the personal data off your phone and your computer, and to gather intelligence that can be used to threaten the security of the entire nation. So your one click isn't just putting you at risk, it's creating a backdoor that makes the whole country vulnerable.
Okay, after hearing all of that, I know it's easy to feel completely hopeless. But here's the good news. The same science that explains how the brain gets trapped also shows us the way out. This is not permanent damage. Your brain can heal. So let's shift gears and talk about how you can actually break free and take back control of your mind.
And the key to all of this is a concept called neuroplasticity. It sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. Think of the habit pathways in your brain like a path you walk through a forest. The more you walk it, the clearer and wider the path becomes, right? It becomes your default route. But what happens if you stop walking that path? Well, over time, weeds grow over it and it fades away. It's the same with your brain. If you stop using those addiction pathways, they literally weaken and fade. Your brain is built to change. It can unlearn.
So, what does that look like in practice? Here's a simple 4-step path to freedom, all based on that science. Step 1. You have to make a firm, rock-solid decision that you're done. No more maybes. Step 2. Prepare for the fight. Your brain is going to scream at you with urges. That's withdrawal. Expect it. Step 3, and this is so important, you have to replace the habit. You can't just leave a vacuum. Find something else, anything else, that's engaging and healthy. Learn an instrument, join a gym, read a great book. And finally, step 4, be patient with yourself. It took time to build those pathways. It's going to take time for them to fade away. Give your brain that time.
So, in the end, it all comes back to this. You are the gardener of your own mind. The choice is always yours. You can let the weeds of compulsion fed by the worst parts of the internet grow wild and take over, or you can decide to take control. You can pull those weeds out one by one and consciously choose to plant something beautiful, something strong, something that will actually bring you peace. So the final question I want to leave you with is this: what will you choose to grow?